Greg Ehrenberg from Chopper here to break down another NBA slate. And on Wednesday, we've got 12 games to talk about. So as you come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a comment below to let me know whatever it is that you guys think about today's games, whether there's a bet you really like that I didn't talk about, or do you love or hate my bets? Any comments you have at all, let me know below in the comment section. And, much bigger slate today than we had yesterday, 12 games as opposed to just the 3 that we had on Tuesday. But still ended up being a pretty good betting night for us. I had 2 bets, just kept it a little bit smaller with there only being 3 games yesterday, but we did end up hitting on both of those bets. So the one that we had that won really easily was Brook Lopez over 1.5 blocks. He got his second block in the first quarter of that game, ultimately finished with 6 blocks. And then the other bet we had was Kelly Olynyk for over 2.5 assists. And that was also a winning bet. And one thing that kind of made it fun as well was his third assist was an alley-oop pass to Lauri Markkanen. So a couple of bets that we hit on both of them, and always a good way to get the week going. So hopefully we could build on that for Wednesday. Also, if you want any more bets, not just for myself, but all of the other guys that we have on the YouTube channel, we've got our premium betting Discord, and you can get 1 week free access by signing up and clicking on the link that we have below. And that's going to get you 1 week for free. You can jump into the Discord and just ask any questions you have at all, whether it's betting related or anything else. But also, we've got bets getting posted in there across all of the sports, not just basketball, but football, college sports, everything. We've got all that covered in the Discord. And then also stuff like late breaking news for basketball. There are ways that I could cover that in Discord that I can't quite do the same way on YouTube. So 1 week free access by clicking on that link below. Let's talk about the NBA slate. 12 games on Wednesday. These are my favorite bets. To start us off here, my first bet is going to come from BetPro, the new NBA prop betting tool that we have over at Stokastic.com. And also, you could get access to this for free for 7 days with the link that we have below to BetPro. And I really do like this number we have on Isaiah Stewart. The over-under 6.5 rebounds. We have Stewart projected for 9.2 rebounds tonight. And the biggest reason why is that, once again, Marvin Bagley is hurt. So Bagley, we've seen him in and out of the Pistons lineup this year. For the start of the year, he was injured with a knee issue, came back and did start to take away a little bit of minutes from Isaiah Stewart, also started to take some rebounding opportunities away from him. And then what ended up happening was, well, Marvin Bagley got hurt again, because that is something that Marvin Bagley does pretty regularly. So now the front court is going to be Isaiah Stewart alongside Jalen Duren. And I do think long-term, that's probably what the Pistons are looking at as their best 4 or 5 combination. And when it comes to Isaiah Stewart, we've seen some big rebounding games from him as of late, and the minutes should also be on the rise now that Marvin Bagley remains out for this team. The last 3 games for Stewart, 6, 7, and 10 rebounds. So 2 out of 3 games he hit the over, and the one he fell short of was last game against Portland. The game was decided by 29 points, and the starters didn't end up finishing out the game. So he probably would have gotten there had the game been a little bit more competitive. And sure, that is always a little bit of a risk when it comes to Pistons games, because every once in a while they are not overly competitive because they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. But with that said, the Golden State Warriors are really banged up as well. So the spread for this game is actually only 6.5 points. It's not one that I would consider to be a very high blowout risk. So I feel good about Isaiah Stewart's minutes. The prop is 6.5. We've got him projected for 9.5 rebounds. So I'm taking the over for my first bet of the day. You guys want to make $200 tonight? You probably do, and here's the easiest way to do it with zero risk to yourself at all. If you've not signed up at DraftKings Sportsbook, do it by clicking on the link we have below, because when you do sign up at DK Sportsbook with our link, you're going to win $200 on your first $5 bet, regardless of whether it wins or not. All you have to do is sign up by clicking on our link below. And here's what I think you should do. I just said I liked Isaiah Stewart over 6.5 rebounds. Put $5 on the Isaiah Stewart over 6.5 rebounds. I like that bet. I think there's a pretty good chance to win. But even if it loses, you're going to get paid out $200 by DraftKings Sportsbook. And if it wins, well, you're still getting $200. But take advantage of this opportunity. These kind of situations don't really exist forever, and it's free money. So take advantage of it. Just make sure you sign up at DraftKings Sportsbook. You click on our link so you get credited with your free money when your first bet settles. The next bet I'm looking at, it's over 5.5 rebounds for Ben Simmons. And I know the public is not in love with Ben Simmons. People do not like to bet on Ben Simmons, but 5.5 rebounds is a really low mark for a guy who, as the starter for the Nets this year, or as a starter, is averaging 6.5 rebounds per game. And we have seen the minutes be a little bit more consistent in competitive games, which the last 2 games have not been. The Nets just came off a game where they beat the Spurs 139-103. The game before that against the Charlotte Hornets, they were also up by 20 plus points for the majority of the game, ended up winning by 17. So I don't get too concerned about the limited minutes from Ben Simmons in those two games, just because it was so lopsided. In other competitive games, we've seen him play 28 to 34 minutes. And like I said, he's already averaging 6.5 rebounds per game this year. The 5.5 line, it just looks really low on the surface for Ben Simmons, who, sure, he's not a great scorer, and he's somebody who's not shooting as much as he did earlier in his career. He's playing alongside Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, so I don't think the Nets want him to be a guy who has a very high usage, but he's still one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. He's still a great playmaker who puts up a lot of assists. He's still a really strong rebounder. So Ben Simmons over 5.5 rebounds. We actually been projected around 7.5 today, and that's really what I think the fair line should be, is 7.5. 5.5, much too low. I actually believe it is the lowest rebound prop on any single game we've seen from Ben Simmons this year when he's been healthy and unrestricted. I'm going to take the over on that number. Now, for my final bet, I'm looking at Paolo Banchero for over 1.5 threes, because we're getting really good plus money. The mark on this is plus 155 on the over, and I did bet this the other day and then ended up not cashing. So we saw Banchero only hit 1 3 in that game, but he got up 5 3-point attempts, and considering all of the players that are out for the Orlando Magic tonight and that they're going to be severely shorthanded, I like going right back to Paolo Banchero in a great matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder because of that plus money. We've got this weird situation with Orlando. They have a bunch of players who are injured and a whole lot of guys that are suspended, stemming from that altercation between Killian Hayes and Mo Wagner. So if you look at the players who are going to be out tonight for Orlando, Bol Bol, Kevon Harris, Mo Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Jonathan Isaac, Admiral Schofield, and Chuma Okeke, all 8 of those players are out for the Magic. As a result, really short rotation for them. All of the starters are going to have to play massive minutes, which is what we saw the other day. Even in a blowout, they ended up having to give bigger minutes to starters when they play open and sitting in the fourth quarter otherwise. But that's what happens when you only have 8 active players. And as a result, like I said, Banchero got a lot of 3-point attempts. He ended up shooting 5 of them. He only went 1 of 5 from 3, made 20%. But if he's going to get 5 to 6 3-point attempts, 1.5 is not a terrible 3-point line, but it should be minus 110 on both sides, plus 155 on the over for what I consider to be pretty close to a coin flip bet. That's really good value. So as long as we're getting that plus money, I like the bet here on Paolo Banchero, but just be aware that later on in the day, if the line does move, I only like it if it's at plus money. But at least for now, I'm betting Banchero over 1.5 threes while the line is plus 155 on the over. So recapping the 3 bets that I have for tonight's 12-game NBA slate: Isaiah Stewart over 6.5 rebounds, Ben Simmons over 5.5 rebounds, and then finally, Paolo Banchero over 1.5 threes because that line plus 155. So a long shot bet as far as props go, but I do think it presents really good value. Those are my 3 bets for the day. Let me know what you guys think about these below. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Or just have any other questions or comments? Let me know all that below. Also, before you leave, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and good luck with all your bets tonight.